Welcome back to the channel. Yes, I'm still alive. I'm still here. I've just been going through a lot. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, y'all. I'm going to be real, open, raw. I'm trying out something new. I'm trying out something different. I'm going to be trying a lot of different stuff these next few videos because while I don't really have an audience, I'm like, let me get my style together. I love vlogging. I love sit down and talk videos. So, for the people that like to listen to podcasts, you can listen to this as a podcast. And for the people who like to watch vlogs and watch visuals, I will be providing that as well because I like both. So I'm going to be doing a mixture of that. I have mainly have footage from started from January 30th all the way through February 15th. So basically the first 2 weeks of February. It's just random workout videos, some cleaning videos, just some random stuff of what I'll be doing. And I got a lot of updates. So I have everything written down here. So if you see me looking down or looking to the side, I'm looking at my notes here because y'all, it is so much. It's been over a year since I've even posted to this channel. So let me start from the beginning. So basically, since I want to say my last upload as in like when I was giving my goals for 2024, okay, since that upload, I have had my second wedding, which is the wedding with my family and friends in Oklahoma. I ended up getting promoted as a supervisor right afterwards. And it was my first time ever being a supervisor, by the way. So I had never been a supervisor before. And not only was it the first time I was supervisor, but I was thrown in the middle of a merge. We got acquisition by somebody else. So that was crazy. I gained a bunch of stress weight because of that. I ended up losing my grandmother. She passed away, unfortunately, on my dad's side. So that was probably the second death I've had where they were really close to me, and it was really hard. Then I had my first wedding anniversary. So in September 9th was our first year anniversary celebration. So that was cool. I was so happy we made it a year. We're still technically newlyweds, I think, but yeah, we're like 1 year in. Okay. I ended up gaining more weight, more stress weight, and more grief weight. I also went sober as well at the end of July 30th, after my grandmother's funeral, because I just knew I did not want to be coping in unhealthy ways. So I went sober. I quit my job. I ended up quitting that job in October, and I didn't work for 2 months. So for 2 months, I didn't work. I really, really started working on my relationship with God. I got really into reading my Bible every day. My workouts really fell off at this point, and I stopped meal prepping at this point, and I was focusing on like trying to pack up the house and get ready to go because we were making a move from Texas to Oklahoma. So then I ended up moving to Oklahoma November 30th, and here I am back on my weight loss journey in a whole new state, this time with no help. Last time y'all saw me, I was using KP10. This time I'm not using any help, any weight loss drugs, literally just off of self-will, dedication. And I also reached my highest weight that I've ever had. So there's that. Is how did I gain weight? So I kind of touched on this a little bit in my last video, which is basically stress. I was like work stress, y'all. That was like my biggest gain. But also at that time, my grandmother was still alive and we didn't know her cancer came back. So not only was it work stress that caused me to gain back weight, but it was also just the grieving of my grandma. And I am an emotional eater, so I definitely don't have a healthy relationship with food. So I mean, that's honestly the biggest contributor is not having a healthy relationship with food. Because if I had a healthy relationship with food, stress and grief wouldn't necessarily cause me to gain so much weight. Also, I do want to talk about KP10 because that's all of my content before this was KP10. And looking back, I do really love it. I still love it, even though I gained my weight back from it. I personally loved it because it taught me portion control and it taught me that I don't have to eat so much food um, to be satisfied in a sense. It taught me I was actually eating a lot of the times out of boredom and a lot of times out of, I realized I was emotionally eating when I was on KP10. And one of the downsides of it was the fact that I was only eating 500 calories a day. So even though I had the medication compensating for the less calories I was eating, I still didn't build a realistic approach to how I should eat food, because how I was eating, I mean, it taught me the right foods to eat, but not the portions to eat. It wasn't a sustainable amount of portions, obviously. And I didn't have any desserts. It was very strict, it was very restrictive. So because of that, I didn't learn how to balance, okay, when to have sweets, when to not have sweets. It had me kind of delusional, thinking like, oh, I can just eat a little piece of meat with some, 3 breadsticks and some spinach and call it a day and I'll be fine. And it's just like, yeah, for 20 days, you'll be fine. But what about after the 20 days, you know? So I ended up maintaining my weight. Not only did I maintain my weight for a while, I also lost more weight when I got off KP10. I want to say I got down to like 202 pounds was my very lowest. And I started KP10 at 338 pounds. So, I did continue to lose weight. I lost a total of about 36 pounds with that and after KP10. Where I started to gain weight was, I want to say it was around like the end of March, beginning of April. It was, yeah, after my wedding, because my wedding was March 28th. So literally, I get back home in April, and now that my wedding was over, because that was why I kind of got on KP10 in the first place, was to kickstart my weight loss for my wedding with my family and friends, for my wedding dress. I was trying to fit in my wedding dress, y'all. Okay, and I ended up fitting in it. I ended up altering my own dress, y'all, because it was a hot mess with the I ended up having to alter my own dress. Let's just say that, okay? So I ended up having to take it in. Everything was great. My face was looking snatched. I had my jawline back. Everything was like really good. But I ended up gaining back the weight not too far after that. I want to say by like the end of April, I was like, okay, girl, but you've been gaining back a little weight. I probably gained back like 200. I remember when I was like 210, 212, that's when it was like, okay, girl, you starting to gain your weight back. A little bit of weight was expected because I wasn't eating so strict after the wedding, but I knew like, okay, you got to take control of it. So I remember saying, okay, I'm starting over in April. I'm gonna get my stuff together like by May. I'm gonna be back on track and I'm gonna get this weight off and get under 200 pounds. Well, that ended up not happening. And part of the reasons why is because my job did get way more stressful. I remember I ended up having to hire my first employee on my team, because they finally let us hire somebody, once we got acquisitioned. And at this point, it was me. I was a supervisor, and I had 2 girls who's on, my employees, which we were on the same team doing the same thing before I got promoted. So we were working together, but our work got too much and I had to hire somebody else. I remember after that hire, by the time she started in June, I remember I was already burnt out. I was apologizing to her. I was like, girl, I'm sorry. Like, I want to do all these things. I have all these visions and all these plans, and like I'm trying to do everything, but I'm also trying to keep up with the workload. I'm also trying to, implement all the new things. When you get bought out, you have new changes of policy and changes of how they want you to do stuff. And we had even more work than what we had before. So I'm trying to keep up with all of that work. And on top of that, I'm trying to train her, and I'm trying to give her like feedback and input, and also with the other girls, it was so much. And this is the first time I'm a supervisor and I was put in this position. So by June, I was pretty much over it. I had found out, and at the same time, I found out that my grandma's cancer came back, and we didn't even know. She rang the bell and everything the weekend I got married, on my wedding in Oklahoma in March. At the end of March, she rang her bell. So here we are, June. We find out, no, the cancer is back and it's even more aggressive, and she's really sick in the hospital. And so I was just like, oh my God, like what? And by July, because she passed on July 16th, July 17th, one of those days, she passed away. And that whole month of July, like the first couple weeks of July, I was going back and forth to Oklahoma, because I was still living in Dallas at the time, and I was just like stressed, honey, stressed, because it came out of nowhere. I was just like, what is going on? And my grandma passed so quickly. It was like she was fine. She rang the bell. The doctor is like, oh my God, it's a miracle how she healed. To now she's in the hospital. She goes from the hospital to the house. She's so bad at the house, they have to put her in hospice. She's in hospice for maybe like, I don't even know, maybe not even a week, and then she passes away. And it's just like, oh my God. So I remember she passed away. We had to go to the funeral, And at this point, I knew, like, I was like, okay, after her funeral, I was like, I gotta do, like, me and my husband, we did 75 hard. I had this in my spirit, it was like, I need to really get on a healthy track and force myself to be healthy, because right now, if I continue on how I'm continuing, I will spiral in an unhealthy way. So we ended up doing 75 hard, or our own version of 75 hard. And I went sober. And at this point, we join a church. We each get new Bibles. We just really start to get into, our, Christian bag. Because mind you, I had already, I've been a Christian my whole life, but I was always like a lukewarm kind of Christian. Never really had fully read the Bible like that. Never really did what I was supposed to do. I was very much in the world, very much just, I would say, like the average Christian is, still very worldly, but I believed in Jesus and I prayed to God and all kind of things. I just wasn't how the point I'm at right now. So anyway, I ended up gaining back my weight during that time period. I was supposed to be doing 75 hard, but I instead was gaining weight for some reason. I don't know why, y'all. I don't know if this point in my, not only was the grief because I was crying every day going to work. I remember it was like, I want to say August. Yeah, August was very, very rough for me. I was crying all the time. September was really rough. It was her birthday in September 23rd. And it was just a lot of stuff going on, y'all. I honestly, it was a blur. It was a blur during that time. So I was sad. I was eating. I was doing all kind of stuff. I really didn't care. I was going to work late at this point, girl. I was just doing all kind of stuff. Even though I was still sober, I wasn't drinking, wasn't smoking, and I was in the word, but I was just eating. I wasn't meal prepping. I was eating out a lot. I wasn't going to the gym like that. It was like I would have times where I would go to the gym in the morning, but then it was times where I wouldn't. And it was just all over the place. It was all over the place. So I ended up gaining my weight. And what was crazy, so anyway, fast forward to October 4th. I quit my job. I just literally just came in one day on a Friday and I left and I was like, I'm not coming back. And the very next day I ended up getting a call from this job that I'm at now. We get the interview going, all of those things. By mid-November, I find out that, okay, I am going to be working for this job. And so at this point, we was already packing the house up. We had started packing the house up in August because I knew I wanted to move back to Oklahoma. I just didn't know when. I didn't know how. I just knew we were moving to Oklahoma. So we had already been packing up the house, okay? So by this time in November, we had found an apartment. We signed the lease. We knew we was going to be moving the end of November. We had like a few weeks left. I had did a visit Tulsa trip because I'm part of the Tulsa remote program, which I'll talk about later in another video. But yeah, we started like making our move down here, and then we moved down here. We moved November 30th, right after Thanksgiving, and then from November to December to like the end to Christmas, basically, I was not, eating correctly. We was eating out a lot. I was not working out. I don't even think I worked out, girl, until like the last week of December was the first time I took my butt to the gym. And I walked on the treadmill, couldn't even walk 5 minutes. Okay. I was so out of shape. I was so out of breath. My whole face, everything was swollen. Like, I'm swollen now. Just imagine. I can show y'all how I look. I'm gonna show you how I look. And it looks a mess. Okay. It looks a hot mess. Girl, I just can't believe I let myself get out of shape. And I weighed myself on December 28th and I was 257. Look, correct me if I'm wrong, 257, 258 pounds, bro. I have never seen that amount of weight on a scale before in my life. And I was just like, wow, that was my reality check. That was my wake up call. That was like, okay, girl, like, you keep going on, you will easily be 300 pounds. Mind you, I am 5'7" and a half, 5'7" 3/4. I just say 5'8", but no, I'm not supposed to be weighing that much. Okay, that's not good for my body frame. I can feel it on my body, on my joints, and I have a small frame. I'm really not supposed to even be over 200. I'm really not even supposed to be 170. I think the doctor told me with my body, with my bone density, with my muscles, and like, like my natural weight should be about 149. And so, for me to be like 170, 180 is already pushing it. Now I'm 200. Now I'm 258. I'm almost 300 pounds, girl. So anyway, I was just like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. So I'm going to talk about the rest of the stuff in another video. This I did kind of ramble on, but I had a lot of stuff to catch y'all up. So the next video, I'm going to be talking about what I've been doing. Basically, I will give you a preview. So from that time, Friday I'm 257 to now. Today is February 21st. I am 440 pounds, or 400, 240 pounds as of yesterday. 240 pounds even. Okay, so that is 17, 18 pound weight loss since the end of December all the way to now. Almost 20 pounds, y'all. We're almost 20 pounds down, and I'm literally almost back where I started from my last highest weight. I thought I would never be happy to get to 238 pounds. I thought that was the highest I would ever get to back then. But lo and behold, here we are now, and I'm thanking God that I'm almost 238 pounds. Okay, so never take for granted your health, and never take for granted of where you're at, because it could always be worse. I promise you that. We will be talking about my plan going forward. What have I been doing to lose the 18 pounds, girl? And I really found a real holistic and realistic approach to losing weight, and I'm very excited to share with y'all what I'm doing. So just tune in for the next video.